This is a 2025 Ram 1500, an updated version of the 5th generation Ram truck with some new technology and brand new engines. And regular viewers will be able to tell right away that I am not on my usual drive route. I am not in my usual state. I am in Texas as a guest of Ram to try this new truck out. And that means that this will not be one of my full reviews, but I am going to work as hard as I can to get as much as I can. And the big news is, for this new update, you can choose between a V6 and 2 inline sixes. At the moment, there are no diesels, no V8s. This is a 6-cylinder only truck lineup for 2025. And the real question is that a good thing or a bad thing? Let's find out. I review all kinds of cars and I have fun every time. Please subscribe and join me. There are, of course, several trims of Ram 1500 for 2025, and the base price of the base trim, which is the Tradesman, I'll go ahead and put up on the screen right now. I am currently driving a Lone Star Ram 1500 trim, and that is kind of like the most mainstream trim you can get. It's one up from the base and offers a pretty wide variety of options to choose from. And even though this is second from the bottom in terms of trim level, I've got in this particular truck heated seats and a heated steering wheel, a 12-inch Uconnect system, and a lot of other goodies. The base price for this one, I'll go ahead and put up on the screen right now, but I can tell you from this little piece of paper right here that my test truck costs $67,485. So even on these lower level trims, you can build these things up to be pretty darn expensive. From there, we go all the way up to a brand new luxury trim, I'm going to call it, called the Tungsten. This is new and above the limited trim for the Ram, and I'll go ahead and put that price up on the screen right now for you to check out. I might get a chance to drive one later. I'm not exactly sure yet. If I do, I'll definitely show that to you. With that said, now seems like a good time to pull over and show you around and inside and under the hood of this new truck in a bit more detail. Well, here it is, the 2025 Ram 1500, and this one specifically is a Lone Star or a Bighorn if you don't live in Texas. And yes, we do have the SST 1500, which is straight 6 turbo, which is the new inline 3-liter engine, twin turbocharged. Pretty cool, and we'll look at that more in just a minute. Looking at the truck from the front, they did play with the front and rear fascias a little bit. We do have an even bigger grille up here, and the Ram signature, the Ram signage right at the front is even bigger and a little bit higher up. You can see there is my hand, there is the R. This is very big lettering right here, and you see that this one particular has some chrome elements right here. There are different grille elements to the different pieces, and the Tungsten, the brand new, more luxurious version, has a more pronounced front fascia altogether. But enough of that, let's look under the hood. Well, you have a nice little shroud right here, says twin turbo on either side, but the engine is fore-aft mounted or front to back, straight 6, so just running right across there. And you can see very clearly actually 2 turbochargers, one down low, one up high. Each one is fed by 3 of the cylinders, so that allows them to use smaller turbos that spin up faster that way, and it's a pretty clever system. The foundation of this engine actually started in the Grand Wagoneer. That was where it was first installed, but this application in truck, at least in my experience, is working really, really well. Looking at the truck in profile, you can see this is a big thing, and that means that we have plenty of room on the inside, which I will show you in just a minute. This Lone Star has 18-inch wheels and mud and snow tires, all-season tires, but you can get more aggressive tires for off-roading, especially on the Rebel trims, and you can get up to a 22-inch wheel on the Tungsten. Looking at the back of the truck, there it is, loud and proud, Ram right there. We do have dual exhaust tips. Of course, you get nice fat Class 4 trailer and hitch, wiring hookups, all that kind of stuff. And here's a quick look at the bed. We do also have AC power right there. This is a massive door. Look at that thing. So yeah, we have plenty of leg room, and the seat bottoms look nice and high for good thigh support as well, and you know, look pretty comfortable. Before I get in though, I want to see, yep, super easy to fold them up, and that way you can get a lot of extra storage in here if you want it. And this is a good time to show you that we have 4 USB ports, 2 Type A, 2 Type C, and AC power as well. So you have power opportunities here, no problem. And indeed, I am 5'11" or 181 centimeters tall, and I have plenty of leg room, which is pretty obvious. I also have nice high seat bottoms, so good thigh support. I do have a good 2 or 3 inches of headroom, and I have a much less than 90-degree bend in my knees. Plenty comfortable back here. Lots of room back here to store stuff, probably a bike, and pretty much anything you want. So there are RAMs that you can have a fully digital instrument cluster and 14.5-inch portrait mounted screen, and then a second 10.3-inch mounted passenger screen. This being the Lone Star, we do not have all that stuff, but we do still have lots of stuff. As you can see, we do have real gauges on either side, but then a center information screen that for me was easy to read, easy to use, so I had no problem with that at all. We also have lots of buttons on the steering wheel itself, and the rim itself is nice and big, easy to hold on to, no problem. We also have this nice big grab handle right here, and we do have a head-up display as well. This is the 12-inch Uconnect 5 system. To me, this is plenty big, and it works well, it works fast, and I appreciate all that. But I appreciate even more that we do have real buttons for climate control, and we also have real buttons for trailer brake. We can turn off traction control right here, and there's also towing options. Another neat trick is this new center console can hold 2 smartphones and charge them both. 1 smartphone in, plenty of room for a second. The Prindle is this dial right here, and everything is the dial. So it starts in P, reverse, neutral drive, all the way back to park. That's how that works. We do have an electric parking brake. It is right down here. Looking up, we do have more buttons for controls up here, and because we don't have any kind of moonroof or anything like that, we have plenty of headroom. We do also have drive modes. They are right on the steering wheel here. As you can see, I have snow, tow, sport, off-road, and auto, and I basically drove the whole thing in auto, and I enjoyed it just fine. But yeah, a really nicely updated Ram 1500 for 2025. Time to get back to the drive. All right, let's dig into the powertrain. That is truly, at least for me, the biggest news here. There are now 3 engines to choose from. The base is a Pentastar V6. It's the standard engine in the Tradesman, and I will go ahead and put the horsepower and torque figures up for you to check out. It's completely fine for a work truck. And that is actually a mild hybrid system. It's got something called eTorque. It's a 48-volt system, and it does help out in the low revs, give some assistance there. But this truck has the brand new Hurricane twin turbocharged inline 6. This is a 3-liter inline 6 mounted fore aft, as I showed you, across the hood like that, and makes 420 horsepower and 468 pound-feet of torque. Obviously, 2 turbochargers help that out a lot, and the fact that we've got, you know, decent displacement still does a lot of the work as well. The 2 turbochargers, each one is fed by 3 of the cylinders. So it is 2 smaller turbochargers that do the work, and that allowed the powertrain engineers to make them smaller, make them spin up faster, and reduce the lag. We do have an aluminum block and an aluminum head for this inline 6, and we also have an inherently smooth running engine. Inline 6 engines are naturally balanced all the way through the rev range, so that allows nice smooth operation from idle to redline, and I love it. We do still operate with a TorqueFlite 8-speed automatic transmission, which so far has worked just fine, and of course you can choose between rear-wheel drive or a 4-wheel drive system. this test truck, my test truck, does have the 4-wheel drive system. And I've got to tell you, this is a great engine. I've been doing a lot of cruising around town and lower speed stuff around the city of Austin, and it operates really smoothly and really quietly. But we're not lacking for power. I just go ahead and stab the throttle, get a good kick down, nice smooth revs, and pretty decent hustle. This is a full-size truck, don't forget, and we got moving pretty well. And that is a nice roar from the exhaust. It's not very loud, but it is a nice, good, creamy kind of sound. Not what you expect from a pickup truck, but certainly not bad. And Ram was quick to point out that this engine makes more power than the outgoing 5.7 liter V8. Now, I've explained 2 engines. There's a third engine option. It is also the new twin turbocharged Hurricane Inline 6, but high output at the end. The HO Hurricane engine, that will be standard on this brand new tungsten trim I just talked about, as well as the other high-end trims. And that engine makes 540 horsepower and 521 pound-feet of torque. So it is definitely a much bigger difference in horsepower than in torque. That is inherently the same engine as this Hurricane one, but with its own modifications to make that extra power. And with luck, I'll get a chance to drive that one as well and give you a sense of how it feels. But yeah, this is a big shift for Ram. They have been championing V8s for a long time, and V8s everywhere. Big power in all kinds of different places, and it's been a lot of fun, frankly. When the Hellcat first came out years ago, I have to say, that was one of the coolest engines I'd ever seen. And then they did the Demon and all the other things. Yeah, it's been something. But, you know, times are changing. Things are shifting, and they're shifting fast. And Ram is on this new, pretty darn accelerated program to electrify half of its lineup by 2030 and its entire lineup soon after that. And that means we're going to be seeing pretty fundamental shifts in powertrains here. There is a Ram EV truck coming late this year. And at least for the moment, if you want a new Ram truck, it's not going to have a V8 anymore. But there is some good news there, because that, of course, does improve fuel economy. And also, I do want to say one more time that this is a really smooth and refined driving engine. It's a quite enjoyable, pleasant truck to drive around in with this new engine. So, as transitions go, this one's a little bit easier to get used to than some of the others. But while fuel economy is important, it's not nearly as much fun as accelerating, especially when you have a brand new engine. Of course, I did have to test that. Let me show you right now. Okay, time for a quick acceleration test. I am going to put the Ram in 4 auto and see what we can do. Okay, coming to a quick stop. Quick bit of brake torque. 3,500 RPM off the brake. Oh, nice little lunge. Good quick shifts. Shifting about 5,500 RPM. Yes. Good muscle here. Yes. That is the smoothest I've accelerated in a pickup truck in a long time. This inline 6, naturally smooth engine does a great job. The twin turbocharger gives us a lot of air to combust a lot of fuel. 428 horsepower, 468 pound-feet of torque. Even though this is a big thing, we got moving really well. Great acceleration from the 2025 Ram 1500 with the SST straight 6 turbo engine. Okay, time for another acceleration test, this time in a Hurricane high output. I got myself in a limited trim Ram 1500. This has the more powerful high output Hurricane engine, so let's give it a try. Okay, coming to a complete stop quickly. Bit of brake torque. 4,000 RPM off the brake. Oh, good launch. Higher revs. Oh, we're revving above 6,000 RPM. Oh, and good pull. Wow. This thing has some real muscle to it. Wow. I was not expecting that much pull in a truck this big. So, fantastic acceleration. You can definitely feel the extra horsepower in the high output Hurricane. 540 horsepower, 521 pound-feet of torque. So let's talk chassis. We are still running on the 5th generation frame after all, but that's not a bad thing. Ram has continued to refine the suspension a little bit, but we are still working with double wishbones up front and a solid rear axle 5-link setup in the back. But you can get, and this truck does have, the air suspension, which among other things gives you different ride heights to work with. The truck will automatically set itself down 15 millimeters, which is about 6/10 of an inch when you're cruising at highway speeds to get a little bit better aerodynamic behavior. And you can drop it 50 millimeters when you're going really, really slow or stopped to have much easier entry and exit in and out of the truck. And you can go the opposite way and raise it 50 millimeters if you're going lower speed and doing some off-roading. So obviously that helps as well with ground clearance. And generally speaking, as trucks go, I have to say this is a pretty darn well-behaved thing. It does bounce around a little bit. You can tell that you're fundamentally in something that is stiffly sprung, but it is not uncomfortable. It's not jarring in any way. And as long as the bouncing didn't bother you, you can drive around town, drive over bumpy roads with no trouble at all. And that is true on roads like this or on the interstate. I did get a chance to test it there as well. Let me show you that. All right, everybody, time for a quick stint on the highway. This is not a full-on interstate, but we are going interstate speeds pretty much. And I am not in the Lone Star with the Hurricane right now. I am in a new car. I am in the Limited with the Hurricane high output engine right now. This is the same truck that I did that quick second acceleration test in. And yeah, it's quick. But now that we're on the interstate, we get to experience the more refined part of this engine and this truck indeed. This is a very smooth and very quiet operating engine. We're spinning around 2,000 RPM, going about 68 miles an hour right now, and the engine is whisper quiet. It's nice and smooth and humming along in the background really, really nicely. This is a nice engine. Ram did a really good job executing with this engine to give you the power output you need and the response that you need, but man, a really high level of refinement as well. And the truck generally also behaves well. We do have the air suspension in this truck as well, of course, being the high level trim. And we have not only heated seats, but now we have ventilated seats as well. And we have lots of comfort. We have the nice big center console touchscreen right here. We have nice materials in this truck, and we have a generally nice and comfortable ride. Now, this was the top trim of Ram until the 2025 model year with the brand new tungsten trim. And the tungsten trim does stand out with unique materials and a couple of other interesting things. But this Limited is still a very nicely appointed truck. There is a little bit of wind noise in this truck. I can hear some buffeting around the side view mirror, for example. But generally, this is a very quiet cabin as well. And that is definitely above what I expected. So even on the interstate, this Ram is really showcasing a lot of refinement, a lot of comfort. And I feel that also in the seats and the steering wheel as well. There's just a lot of nice things to work with here. As full-size trucks go, yeah, this is quite good. Also, we have a fair amount of driving assistance technology in here. I'm going to go ahead and turn on the cruise control. It is adaptive cruise control, of course. Setting the speed, and I'm also going to turn on the lane keeping assist. So there's a steering wheel button right in the center of the cruise controls here. And when I turn that on, a little lane centering thing shows up and a green steering wheel button pops up. Now I have my hands on the wheel. This has a capacitor around the rim of the steering wheel, so you don't have to move the steering wheel for the rim to know that your hands are on it. And if I take my hands off it, it is following the end of the curve pretty darn well. However, that symbol right there that shows is gone yellow, and now it's complaining. Place your hands on the wheel. Now, Ram does have a hands-off driving assistance system, but that's not on every Ram. It certainly isn't standard equipment. But it gets into that Super Cruise, Blue Cruise kind of playbook where on certain specific roads, you can have your hands off the steering wheel for an extended period of time, but you still have to be paying attention. This truck, what I'm experiencing right now, is the more common thing you see. Adaptive cruise control, lane centering, and all that kind of stuff. Lots of driver assist tech, but not that extra level that we're starting to see on some vehicles. Either way, I have to say I'm genuinely impressed with the Ram's level of refinement. This new powertrain has a lot of good. We actually started this review pretty much in the city of Austin, and I did turn the cameras on and drove it around the city a little bit as well. Let me show you that. Okay, I am driving in the city of Austin right now in this Ram 1500, and I want you to hear how little you can hear the engine. This is definitely a very smooth, very quiet operating engine. 8-speed transmission also does keep us in nice and low revs. I don't think I've gotten past 2,500 RPM. I'm not much over 1,500 RPM right now. And the chassis, you know, this is a big thing. And we are bouncing around a bit. You can tell that we are ultimately pretty stiffly sprung, but it's pretty darn comfortable. The air springs and the shock absorbers combine to give a little bit bouncy, pretty darn comfortable ride. And right now, I can hear the AC about as much as I can hear the engine. Now, the auto start-stop did just engage, but here, the engine's back running again. 2,500 RPM shifts. Very quiet, very smooth engine in the city. All right, what do I think of this updated, significantly updated 2025 Ram 1500? It's a little sad that we lose a V8 option. I just love the way a V8 rumbles and cruises around. I have to say that. But as far as new engines and new configurations and ways to improve fuel economy go, this, I have to say, is one of my favorites. Going with a 3-liter, going with an inline 6, an inherently smooth inline 6, those are great places to start. And Ram executed really well. This thing operates smoothly, it operates quietly, but it does still deliver the power. And the technology that was put in here, the Uconnect 5 system works well. I do like the fact that they went portrait mounted for the setup. I do think that there is a good level of features and amenities in this truck, and it's obviously plenty big and pretty darn comfortable. And this being the first model year of this new transition, I'm also quite interested to see what comes down the road. But I think generally speaking, if you like the way the 5th generation Ram truck works, there's no reason to like the updated Ram any less. In fact, I think there's a lot that you'd like more about it. I'm Robin Warner, thank you for watching. And if you like this video, please let me know by giving it a thumbs up. Doing so helps me out a lot and I'd really appreciate it. Also, I do reviews like this all the time, not to mention car news, auto shows, walk-arounds, and all that kind of stuff. So if you have any interest in keeping up with the auto industry in general, please subscribe to my channel. That also helps me out a lot, and I'd also really appreciate that. Speaking of, I did recently get a chance to look at the 2024 also updated Ford F-150 at the Chicago Auto Show, and I had a nice chat with Mike Levine at Ford about what's new in the Ford F-150. Or maybe you're interested in something else entirely. Well, like I said, I have done a lot of videos by now. Something will pop up on the screen next to me. Hopefully that is something you're interested in, and if you do end up watching it, I definitely hope you like it. Okay, goodbye for now.